Good afternoon, and thank you for joining us for another Rags to Riches seminar where we bring you owners who are willing to share their experiences. And today we're thrilled to have Dan Mount Pleasant with us. His partner is Mercedes Montano, who you will hear from next week. Because today she is, of course, out cleaning houses like any big owner does when 4 people call in sick the week of Thanksgiving. So Daniel says thank heavens for Mercedes, and Daniel does handle more of the financial side. They both came to embed in the to the ranch for business in a box, and that's what Daniel's going to talk to you about today. What situation he was in and why he came. Daniel, tell us a little bit about your company.
Sure.
And welcome.
Thank you, Sharon. Thanks for having me. Well, we started our company in 2002, and we have right now today, we've got about 162 repeat clients. When we started our company, it was predominantly commercial accounts, and we have since progressed and moved more towards predominantly repeat residential accounts. Right now, we're generating about a little over $500,000 a year in gross revenue. We've got 19 associates, so just under 20 folks, 5 of which are full-time and 14 are part-time. Most of our teams, we have teams of 2, so about 8 teams of 2, and we've got a couple solo teams that help us with the commercial accounts. We're split up a little bit now with commission and hourly. Generally speaking, we reward our hourly people for the houses for residential, and we tend to use commercial for commission-based payment. And it's just a brief overview.
Perfect. Now that's exactly what people need to know. So why were you seeking support? I mean, number one, $500,000 doesn't make most people cry in this industry. That's not a number to be ashamed of, Dan. So why were you seeking support?
We have been kind of stuck at the same level for quite a while. You know, we've really been struggling to get to the next level, and we're very proud of the success that we've had, but we've kind of been stagnant at the same level. You know, we're adding some customers, losing some customers every month through attrition, and we wanted to go ahead and get to that next level. We really need to grow. For the amount of time that we've been in business, we really should be a little bit larger.
Okay. You also said something about getting Mercedes out of the field, as she is today. So obviously we need to work a little bit more on what you learned at Business in a Box, like implementing. But that was one of the things that was very important to you all.
It was, and we learned a lot with Business in the Box when we were down at the ranch there. Absolutely. So one of our primary goals is to go ahead and get Mercedes out of the field completely. So she's my partner, and she has a tremendous work ethic. She works so hard. She takes great pride in this business. She does the majority of it from the day-to-day operations. And one of the reasons that we wanted help, in addition to getting Mercedes out of the field, we also want to have a little bit more structure in our organization, because too much is on her back right now. And I think of that old parable where we're working in the business as opposed to on top of the business as owner-operators. So we really need a little bit of guidance to kind of get us out of that rut. We're looking for support in terms of finding scalable processes, repeatable processes, and somewhat of best practices. So far, processes that we know that are successful, that are repeatable, and we can do over and over again. We want to know what works, basically, and what we're doing wrong.
Okay, which is why you came down to Austin. So why did you choose, why did you come down to Austin? Why Rags to Riches, why myself, and why the embedded plan at the ranch when I have a couple of other plans that are less expensive?
Well, as you know, we originally met you when you hosted an event at Virginia Beach, and it was a great opportunity for us to network with other business owners, and we had an opportunity to meet you for the first time. And it was very obvious through that interaction that you had a tremendous amount of experience in the industry, and you had developed your business into the level that we'd like it to be. So we wanted to leverage your knowledge and expertise, and when you had a chance to present on Business in the Box and some of the work that you do, it was something that me and Mercedes wanted to take advantage of so that we could leverage that for our own business. Your knowledge in the industry and just the overall package for what we thought made the most sense. We were a little bit on the fence initially as far as whether we were going to go down to the ranch and do the one-to-one training or do it and through the mail and try to do it on our own, and I'm glad that we went to the ranch. We needed that additional extra support and that one-to-one training. We would have just spent the money on the books and all the material and the training material and the DVDs and put them up on the shelf and not use them for months. So it's a key kickstart to get us going. It definitely helped.
a valid point that Daniel makes, because we made a session today before we started taping this for Sunday night, because they're having a hard time finding the time implementing what they learned, even though they had due dates on it. So time for accountability sessions, and they're going to start Sunday night. So it is, I mean, if you were accountable for even reading the materials, almost impossible, I will say that, and I see that, unfortunately, with people who buy Business in a Box. So what expectations did you have? And I laugh about this because you all don't know how much trauma I go through getting ready for this. I mean, I do cook a lot of meals, and I make menus, and I make out the agendas and send them to them personally. But before he got his agenda, he did write me very tersely, like 2 minutes before they got on the plane, saying, Mercedes and I have great expectations. See you tomorrow. I'm like, oh, my God. Like, what are they wanting? A limo to pick them up at the airport and to fly in 10 speakers personally for them? It was amazing. So I've been giving him a hard time ever since then. Like every 3 minutes I would say, is it meeting your expectations, Dan? So I ask you in front of an audience, did it meet your No. Well, I'll ask you that later. What expectations did you have when you did come down there?
So when we first went down, certainly it was an investment we felt we needed to make in our company. And as far as our expectations, you know, we wanted, number one, to have some type of proven practices or best practices from you that you know are successful that we could implement into our own and incorporate them into our own business. One being in particular was organizational structure. You know, what makes sense and what doesn't. You know, using supervisors, not using supervisors, paying on commission, paying on hourly. So best practices, organizational structure, aha moments. You know, just some things there when you were training us that came up. We didn't know this at the time, but certainly, you know, I think of what you said with company automobiles. You know, when you first mentioned that, my knee-jerk reaction was, you know, you're out of your mind. This is crazy, right? Why would I take all that risk on? And if you stop back and you actually think about it, it really does make a whole lot of sense. And as I was sharing with you earlier, we actually got a customer today sign up for 2 times a week because he saw the company car. You know, so it makes good sense. And then I think overall, just my expectations were, you know, to have a separate perspective and take a look into the business, not just for yourself, but for us as well.
Perfect. Perfect. So, of course, here's a great picture of Mercedes. And so not only are they business partners, but they are also personal partners, which always adds to a dimension of a relationship, not to mention the fact that Dan works all day long and then comes back. He has a very high-powered corporate job. So they're definitely challenged in life and doing quite well. So this is them in front of the lane going down to the Fig Newton Academy. So, of course, I have to ask the question one more time, Dan. Do you feel your expectations were met?
So I got bombarded by this question on the way to the airport on the way back out. So absolutely, the expectations were met. I would say that it was 4 days of intensive training. It was important for us to kind of pause and to take a moment and actually spend time working and thinking about the business and strategy and development. So absolutely, it's a lot to learn. It's even for someone who's been in the business for a while, but absolutely, I felt it was time well spent. Yes.
Well, Dan, I'm pretty flattered that it seemed like 4 days of knowledge, even though it was 3. So is it possible for me to bill you for that extra day?
Oh, it was 3. You're right. It was 3.
I'm glad you said that instead of 1. So now if someone asks you, Dan, what is Business in the Box, what do you say?
It's a comprehensive list of how to run a cleaning business as an owner-operator. And I would say it would even in some regards lend itself to other service-based businesses, but specifically, of course, it's focused for the cleaning services industry, specifically residential. I can't imagine why any business owner-operator really wouldn't want to go and take the investment and put in their time. If this is how you're making a living, it is well worth the time and investment. Think of it as an investment into yourself. I would absolutely, I'm surprised that other franchises don't want to use the technology or the processes that are in that and make it a requirement for not only for owner-operators, but also for franchisee owners.
Great. Thank you. I will have you write some owners for me. So when you come to Business in a Box, we actually break your business into 4 major things that we look at: finance, marketing, cleaning process, and employees, managers, and cleaners. And every company is at a different level when they come, and they know different things and then add some things, learn some things. So at the level of $500,000, let me ask you in each category, what did you learn? What did you learn in the finance side that you now can bring back to your company?
So Mercedes does, my partner Mercedes does most of the estimating, and she does a great job at it because she can just, get a general idea just from doing it so long how long it's going to take by asking a handful of questions. But one of the things for both her and myself that was really helpful is we never had the standard benchmark metric of, in the industry standard for cleaning, it's 800 square feet per hour, and that was pretty surprising to me, because when we did the math on it, we're closer to about half of that. We're considerably lower. Now, I think 800 square feet as an industry standard is pretty aggressive. However, clearly we're way too low in terms of that. So from a estimating standpoint in terms of using this metric, it's huge. We're changing that. We're estimating everybody now on square feet and a few other metrics that we learned in the training. But that's definitely was one of the key learnings that we had that actually helps me. And there were other metrics as well in terms of, personal finance, which is something that is important to me. That's my responsibility here in the business. Certain metrics like, are you running too rich for supplies? 2% of gross sales should be a benchmark for your supplies. I never had that before, and that's great, and that helps me kind of keep us honest with what we're doing. I'd say other things in terms of the personal finance or the running the business, which is key, right, for any business. I would say that we're considering now pretty much going to hourly for everything with residential. And there's pros and cons with doing hourly versus commission. I think hourly is superior. I think it puts more responsibility on the business owner, but it's just holding you accountable in that regard. We talked about company cars in terms of finance. I think that is just a huge leg up that I think we should have done sooner than later. I think it gives owners a huge competitive edge that you can offer relative to your competition. And one thing that, it sounds kind of silly, but something that since we've come back from the ranch, it was one of the first things that Mercedes and I implemented was we did the wall chart. So we put up a wall chart, and I should send you a picture of it, but it's in the main conference room when you come in, and it shows every month how many repeat customers we have and what we've done for that month to date. And you can't go by it without looking at it. And it's Mercedes or myself. Mercedes is usually the first one to update it. I know she likes it too, but it sounds so simple, but I can't imagine not having it now.
I'm glad to hear that because I think everybody is driven by a wall chart. I myself at Rags to Riches on the months when I put one up, I usually make my goal. On the months that I don't, and I don't have one this month, I don't make my goal. It is amazing how it's, I keep saying it's like the biggest loser without that scale. How much weight would those people lose? It's the big scale thing. So marketing, what did you learn in the arena of marketing?
There was a whole host of things that we're not doing in terms of marketing. So, and we knew that a lot, but there was things here that we never would have thought of. So it's something that obviously networking is extremely important and something that Mercedes does a great job with. She's very personable and she's very friendly, and she's just working so hard she doesn't have as much time. So that's one of our challenges to kind of realign her with something that she excels at. So since we've come back, Mercedes already took one of your suggestions and went out into hospitals and was offering service to doctors. And she actually, this is something that's near and dear to her, is she actually does work, we're part of the Clean for a Reason, and we do provide support for that for people that are struggling with cancer. And something that we have been doing, just not really consistently, certainly from phone sales. Instead of going out and spending an hour driving there, a half hour with the customer, or I switch that around, half hour driving out, an hour with the customer, and then half hour coming back, it just makes more sense to do it over the phone. It really is more efficient, and we're working on that. That doesn't really work well for commercial accounts, but it lends itself very well for residential accounts.
And then I'm absolutely thrilled to hear that because, I'm a full phone sales advocate. So, and the next area that is, of course, important because if you can't do this right, you have no business, and that is what we provide the service of cleaning. Talk to us a little bit about what you thought of CORE when you actually saw it in the process.
So it gives you a different way of looking about how to efficiently and proactively clean at home, and from end to end, and assigning tasks And functioning on 3 areas, aligning that with 3-person teams probably even makes more sense, where Mercedes is actually working on that now. You know, actually, so she just is on the process of actually working and onboarding a new associate right now. And one of the things that she did was, we're sitting there, and for the first part of the training day, all she's doing is reviewing the core program on the DVDs. And and probably one of the more important things that we learned when we were down there as well is that not only just watching the DVD, but watching them in the morning and in the afternoon going out and practicing them. It's just, you need to do both and both, or it's a waste of time. So it was just overall, I'd just say core is more of a comprehensive, efficient way just to clean a home, focusing on 3 areas and assigning them so you've got accountability and each person knows what they're doing when they go in. You know, from bath, kitchen, and dusting, those 3 things. I think it adds a lot more structure than what we've had.
Good, good. I hope you can keep that structure there, because it's even easier when you have to change employees if a client is home and they see people doing it exactly the same way. It is a retreat setting. Dan's going to talk about that a little bit later when he gets done talking about what he's learned. You can kind of see the house in the background there. And employees, obviously, without the cleaning process, I mean, you can have employees and they can't clean, so you're still in a hole. But once you've got the cleaning process down, and what did you learn about the employees, and maybe particularly about how to keep them there?
So Mercedes is responsible for that, and I can tell you, if she was here, she learned a huge amount from that. You know, and I would say one of the modules that we worked on in terms of being a person of influence, certainly they look up to her, and she gives them support. I think what we learned in terms of the training when we're down there is just, again, identifying the onboarding process, not just for the employee as being critical, but also, I would say, for the customer as well. But onboarding the employee, going through that step-by-step process, I mean, you're really spending, you know, considerably more time with the employee initially than we need to. I mean, like, literally spending a day or 2 with the employee, side by side, working with them, training with them. I would say if Mercedes was here, they would recognize her, you know, as a person of influence. As far as that, she certainly learned some things there, and so I think this goes hand in hand with that, you know, working and focusing more on the one-to-ones. And I know Mercedes does that. We do it now. It's just, I don't think it's as structured as it needs to be, and we need to do it more frequently. And I think that's where the employees really feel valued. You know, you have an opportunity to learn from them, do some coaching, career coaching, you know, and as far as what their goals and their aspirations are.
Perfect. So we did a little bit of working out. This is Mercedes. So as you can see, she's full of energy, lots of fun. We actually did 6 o'clock in the morning exercises before we started at 7:30 2 mornings. So it was fun for me as well. She got me kick-started back in exercising. And that takes us to, how did y'all like the venue and the facility? I mean, it is kicked back.
It is. The facility was great. You know, your food is unbelievable. I think that was one of the biggest things that I missed from not being down there, but your cooking is outstanding. I would say the biggest thing with the venue and that facility is that out on the ranch, it had a quiet, relaxed setting that it had time to focus on the business. So it wasn't a lot of hustle bustle. It was a chance for you just to stay focused on learning.
Good, good. And we did do early in the morning till late at night, so, I mean, you need a relaxed setting. So any other feedback for your audience before we say goodbye?
I think, you know, right now I just think we've got a lot of work that we still need to do, something that Mercedes definitely wants. You know, she wants to follow up in 6 months and have you back again and coordinate something again when you're here. I would say that if we execute on this as owner-operators and actually follow through on what we learn and actually do these tasks that we've been assigned, I mean, I'm expecting this year actually to make 10 times more than the investment what we spent down there for that weekend. So I don't know, I think for the most part it's up to us.
Okay. Okay. Maybe an accountability session here or there won't hurt. Okay. Thank you so much, Dan, for your time. I know we had to split up. Dan also had to run and get a door open today, so it's fun to watch all this happen now that I'm not right in the thick of cleaning anymore, but boy, it comes back in myriads of memories. And most things can be fixed in the long haul. So, Dan, thank you so much. It has just been a pleasure working with you.
Well, thank you, Sharon.
You're welcome. And we will, if you have any questions, Dan said it was fine to call him or to email him. His email address is superior@carolina.rr.com, or his phone number is 704-543-8898. And he truly would love to hear from you. Remember, he has a daytime job, so if you call during the day, you might just have to leave a message, and he will definitely call you back. So again, I'm right about that, right, Dan? Or is there a better time to call you?
No, that's perfect. If they just leave a message, I'll get it. It just may not be till the evening before I respond.
Okay, perfect. Have a wonderful Thanksgiving. Tell Mercedes we will talk to her next week. We're looking forward to hearing what she has to say. And thank you, everybody, for joining us, and we hope to see you sometime at the ranch.
All right. Thank you.